Hello everyone, I'm Tony Lee Peters. How are you? I am better. Thank you for asking. For those of you who subscribe to my newsletter, you'll know that there's been a few personal issues recently, but I am feeling better and everything is now fine. You also have learned that there was a really positive work-related situation that occurred last week, which I'm really excited about. And I hope to speak about that in a future video somewhere along the line. I will post a link to my newsletter subscription to any of you that would like to subscribe. That would be great. Okay, so today I want to speak to you about overthinking. And I'll share a personal story in regards to my own issues with overthinking and negative rumination, or obsessive rumination as it's sometimes referred to, and how to stop this from ruining your life. Normally, during these videos, I will give away a free cheat sheet, but today I'm going to give away a free workbook to help you become more aware of this negative overthinking. So if you would like a copy of that, just type the words rumination in the comments below and I will send that to you via Messenger. Okay, so rumination or negative rumination, what is it? Well, it's when we focus on the negative aspects of a situation and we can become hyper-focused on the causes and the consequences rather than on anything solution-based, like a solution-based outcome or anything even positive. Now, we all ruminate about certain things, but it's when it becomes a pattern of behavior that it starts becoming a bit of a problem. If left untreated, negative rumination can lead to PTSD, but it can also be a symptom of PTSD. And obsessive rumination is also linked to OCD, or more specifically, a rarer form known as pure O, which stands for pure obsessional OCD. This is something that I was diagnosed with a few years ago, and I'll be sharing a personal story about that in a moment. I've just had a weird notification come up on my computer. Hold on a minute, let me sort that out. Okay. So going back, so in 2016, I was diagnosed with pure O, which, as I said, is a form of OCD. And I would like to share with you a timeline of my rumination and how this negative obsessional thinking evolved over time into OCD. And I'd like to share some of the things that helped me deal with this chronic overthinking. So my overthinking, my negative overthinking, it started very early on as a child. My first memory of overthinking was ruminating on how I could protect myself from an abusive adult. Now, as the abuse continued, I would then ruminate on why it was happening, and this led me to believe that it was all my fault. As a teenager, this evolved into negative thinking about myself, about my self-image, and about my place in the world. And as an early adult, because I built up a pattern of negative thinking, whenever anything went wrong, it would always be my fault. So, for example, if a family member, friend, or pet died, it would become my fault, and I would negatively, obsessively overthink about all the things I could have done differently, rather than thinking of happy memories or being grateful for having that person or that animal in my life. In my 30s and 40s, rumination became so entrenched. Sorry, let me just rephrase that. I don't want to overage myself. In my 30s and early 40s, rumination became so entrenched that I would pick apart normal conversations with people, and I would literally spend hours of my time focusing on this negative overthinking. And I would replay conversations and things that hadn't even happened. I became quite adept at turning a positive statement into one of deception and negativity. And that was when pure O was diagnosed. So what helped me, first of all, was to recognize that I was actually obsessively thinking, because it had become so entrenched, because it had become such a part of who I wasn't really aware that I was doing it. It was just part of what I did. It was just part of who I was. So the first step was to recognize. And I was able to effectively recognize or develop a strong sense of self-awareness regarding negative thinking by asking myself a series of questions over a period of time. So every day I would ask myself these same 3 questions, and this helped me develop this strong sense of awareness. So the first question was, what was the main thing that you were ruminating on? So it was, what was the main thing that caused my overthinking? What was I overthinking about? The second question was, what thoughts and beliefs or situation led to this overthinking? Now, very often I would find that the situation that led to the overthinking did not match up with my thoughts and beliefs. So the situation could be quite a positive thing, but my thoughts and beliefs were really negative. And I'll give you, it sounds complicated, but I'll give you a really clear example. A few years ago, quite a few years ago, my mum invited me out to dinner with my stepdad, my brother, and his then girlfriend. Really nice thing, really nice occasion to be invited out to dinner. But because of my chronic overthinking and my negative overthinking, automatically I started searching for ulterior motives. So I convinced myself that there must have been something wrong, that either one of the people in the party was going to tell me something really awful had happened, or that I had done something wrong, and this was like a little mini intervention. So I'd built up this really negative worry and fear about what was just a pleasant, normal dinner, to the degree that I didn't want to go. I did end up going, and everything was fine. But I'm just using that as an example of how my thoughts and beliefs were negative, but the actual situation was positive. And the third question was, how many times did I ruminate on this and for how long? And I soon came to the realization that I was spending literally hours of my time every day focusing on negative things that sometimes didn't even exist. Now, if you've watched quite a few of my videos, you'll know that I like to come up with formulas, especially in regards to personal development. One of my formulas is the CCC formula, so that's to be creative, to commit to the process, and to be consistent. When it comes to ruminating, my formula is the RRR formula, and that's to recognize, react, and replace. So I've recognized that I'm ruminating and that I'm obsessively thinking. The next thing is to react, and it's to react positively to it. Now, the way I reacted was, because I've recognized that I'm overthinking, as soon as I start this negative overthinking, I tell myself to stop. As easy as that, just stop. Now, it does take some time to really stop this overthinking. And to begin with, I would tell myself to stop. I would stop the overthinking. A few minutes later, I would start again. So again, I would tell myself to stop. Then the idea is to replace it with something, because there's no point in just stopping something. You need to replace it with something positive. So what I replaced my overthinking with was, I would tell myself to stop, and then I would tell myself that I would set myself a worry break, a 20-minute worry break at, say, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And I would spend those 20 minutes to have my obsessive overthinking. And that worked for a time. And I was able to reduce my couple of hours every day of obsessional negative overthinking to just 20 minutes. But it soon became apparent that even 20 minutes was too long. So what I was able to do then was to use that 20-minute worry break constructively. So I tried to identify what the overriding thought or fear was that was behind my overthinking. So rather than just let my mind run away with itself for 20 minutes on negative thoughts, I started using it constructively by recognizing the overriding thought or fear, and by identifying what I could control and what I couldn't control. So, for example, ruminating about the past is something that I can't control because the past has already happened. But what I can control is my thoughts and my behaviors about that past event. Ruminating about the future, well, that also hasn't happened. And future worry and anxiety is often based on fear. So it was getting to the bottom of what is this fear. So the 3 steps were to recognize by developing a real strong sense of awareness, to react by stopping, and then to replace with a 20-minute worry break, and using that break to constructively unpack and identify negative thinking. Now, none of this can be achieved overnight. It does take commitment, but it is doable, and I am proof that it's doable. My life is so much better after releasing myself from the absolute hell of obsessional overthinking. Even now, if I'm particularly stressed or under pressure, I do catch myself going back to a negative overthinking. But as soon as that happens, I'm able to apply my technique. So I'm able to recognize, stop, and replace. Now, the workbook that I'll share with you, the workbook actually includes the exercise that I was doing every day to help develop awareness of overthinking. So as I said earlier on, if you'd like a copy of that, please, by all means, type the words ruminate in the comments below, and I will get that to you via Facebook Messenger. So that's all from me today. I hope this helps in some way, and I really do empathize with you if you are suffering from negative or obsessional overthinking. But the good news is it can be effectively treated, and it's something that you can do yourself. Thanks very much for watching. Until next time, be kind to yourself and take care. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.